Hi again, students. Mr. Stahl here, your teacher for Piano 2, Music 312, Section 11616. That's like the easiest section number I've ever had for a class. And I'm sorry about the late start because coming back after my hiatus and getting back into the system has been a little bit of a delay. So it's not too bad, but because if it were a once a week class meeting in person, sometimes these classes meet on a Friday for 2 hours, so we're 2 days early even. But I don't want to lose you as students. I'm so happy that you signed up for this class. I had 26 last I looked, and it's like, you know, sometimes when you fish, you get a fish on a hook and you get all excited and then you lose it. So I don't want you to get off the hook. And so here we're going to go through the syllabus, which is on the Canvas the page or whatever, and so I can't get into it myself, but I can read it because I wrote it. And so we're going to have an asynchronous class, which means you're on your own, which is it's a good thing because musicians have to be self-starters. Musicians have to have their own motivation, and that translates very good into any aspect of life. So, in fact, I was hired for a job one time because when I told the person hiring that I was a musician, he said, "Really, that's really great because musicians are self-starters," and it was kind of a sales job. Okay, so let's go into this. I have office hours and consultation times. So that will be an opportunity to meet in person on Zoom and actually talk to me and discuss whatever's going on with you as far as issues you might be having, good and bad, and questions and so forth. And presently I've scheduled them for 4:30 to 5 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now that's subject to change because it depends on your schedules and my things, how things pan out for the semester. So we can talk about that and make a change for that. But I will be present on a Zoom class from 4:30 to 5 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Alrighty, and I will be able to get into my email hopefully by tomorrow. So my stahdq at laccd.edu or lacdcollege.edu. You will be able to email and I will be able to respond to you. Now, also, preferably actually, there is the communications part of the Canvas app where you would send me emails through that communications part of the Canvas class. And that would be the preferred way of communicating with me, okay? You do not need to buy any books for this class. Everything will be online for you to look at on your computer. It'd be great if you can have your keyboard set up in front of your computer. You can read off of your computer, or you can print things out from your computer and have paper and take the paper anywhere you want to go with it. So the objective of this is to enjoy playing the piano. I've always enjoyed it, and so I hope you enjoy it too. And you will need to play all the major and minor 5-finger scale patterns, which would include the starting point from all 12 notes of the scale, unlike Piano 1 where you just did the ones beginning on the white keys. We're going to add 5, C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp, or if you want to call them the flats. So those are like 5 new ones from your Piano 1 class. Then you will also need to play the triads that go with those 5-finger scales, which if you have the 5-finger scales, the triads should work pretty well too. And that's the chord and the scale. Okay, and then we have the biggest quantum leap from Piano 1, which would be hands together, 2 octaves for the scales you learned in Piano 1, which is C, D, E, F, all the ones beginning on white keys, C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. And getting the hands to be able to play 2 octaves together was probably the biggest challenge from Piano 1. Then you will also need to be, at the end of the semester for the exit skills, know the new B flat key scales, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat or C sharp, and G flat or F sharp. And that's very simple. You could knock that off in 3 minutes or less by learning the correct fingering, and it's one hand at a time. and you need to have a consistent, steady rhythm, or be not necessarily fast. It doesn't have to be fast at all, but play those hands individually. If you want to play them hands together and make it faster, then you can do it that way too. But you're only required to play those black key 1-octave major scales hands alone. And then we have cadences. Cadences are the chord progressions of the 1 chord, the 4 chord in the second inversion, back to the 1 chord in root position, and the 5/7 chord in the first inversion, leaving the 5th out. So the notes are 3 notes in all of these cases. Hopefully you learned some of those in Piano 1. I think not all teachers teach it because it's not really a requirement anymore for Piano 1. It used to be. But we have those cadences, 1-4-1, 5-7-1, in all those keys that begin on, that are, the root is a white key. Okay, and then you have repertoire. And really you only have to have 6 level 2 repertoire pieces. You'll get much more than 6 done, and you'll probably need to get 6 done for a good grade, but a 6 would give you a passing grade at least. Okay, and then SLOs, student learning outcomes, also known as exit skills, would be to play these assigned exercises, scales, and cadences with the correct notes and fingerings, which would be what we term as the technical requirements, and then assigned repertoire, also with correct techniques, dynamics, and tempo. Okay, so you will be evaluated purely on a point system, and that is gathered on what will be called the grade sheet, or I used to call it the class prospectus, as I have called it here. And as we'll talk later about this, the prospectus or the grade sheet has different groupings of repertoire, and you can pick any repertoire you want, and that way we can keep it more interesting. Everybody's not playing the same piece all the time, and you can start with easy, or if you want to challenge yourself, if it's something more difficult, you can do that. And there are difference of points on the level of difficulty as well, but your grade will be based entirely on the points that you accumulate through completion of each of these assignments. And if you get 440 points, that would equal an A. And that's my witty little point accumulation, because the A tone vibrates at 440 vibrations per second. All right, so anyway, 390 would equal a B, 340 points would equal a C, 290 points equals a D. The grade sheet is on this prospectus, and you can print it out, or you can keep track of your points that way, but also your points will all be showing on your grades of the Canvas class. And this is Piano 2, so you should have a pretty good idea of how that works. All right, and then there will also be a midterm and an end-term performance that you are required to play. And it is simply, the way I do it is it's simply a means for you to experience preparing a performance, because that's the best thing to force us to practice, because you have to get ready for your performance. But I want to take the pressure off of having to perform so perfectly, because what you have to do is play pieces that you've already gotten points for, you've already gotten credit for it. So you can just play these pieces for the experience of performing the midterm and final, but you don't get any extra points for it. So if that's a little hard to wrap your brain around, we can talk about it some more. But you're required to do it, so if you don't do it, you get points taken away, but doing it does not add points, because you already got the points from having done the assignment as repertoire assignments. Okay, so that's how that works. And so I state in this prospectus, if you miss the midterm, it subtracts 50 points from your point total. If you missed your final performance, it subtracts 100 points from your grade. Because I didn't want students to think, well, I've got enough points for an A. I don't have to play a performance, but you do have to play it. Okay, so otherwise your grade would go down some. Then we have what I've been talking about as the grade sheet. And I have that listed in here. It's not really like in a form where you can just print it out. There's another file that will be posted on Canvas where you can just print it out. It's in the syllabus as well. You don't need to play all the repertoire. I've mentioned that already. It has different groupings of the repertoire as commercial repertoire, which is a style of music like, more commercial popular songs, and then that are arrangements of songs we already know, simplified arrangements. And then we have classical repertoire, which are actually pieces written by composers exactly the way they are. They're not arrangements of something. And so that's how I term the repertoire: groupings of classical or groupings of commercial repertoire. You can pick and choose. You can do the whole semester in commercial repertoire. You can do the whole semester in classical repertoire. You can pick and choose and have a little bit, a smattering of both kinds of repertoire. And I have added level of difficulties with numbers from 1 to 10 to the pieces, so you can get a look at the pieces and determine if how hard it is. If you want to learn an easier one, you can learn an easier one. Some of the difficulties are not exactly what the point level is. Within 25 points in the classical repertoire, you have different levels of difficulty, but they're all 25 points. Okay, and then you have more advanced pieces where you'll get 33 points. So those are more difficult. I wrote a piece called Goodbye, Mr. Balloon, and it's 33 points if you play it. It's not all that hard, so it's a level of difficulty of 8, you can see on the grade sheet, as opposed to After the Rain, which is a piece written by our beloved Dr. Arbery, composer and teacher of composition and electronic music at City College. And then you have the Peasant Song by Bela Bartok, famous composer, and those are level of difficulty of 10. Okay, and so the repertoire. I also clump on the grade sheet all the technical requirements, and you have to play all those. You don't have to play all those to pass the class, but they are considered exit skills and student learning outcomes. So you're urged and highly urged, and you need to play them all. You really should play them all. And I also have extra credit, different little exercises and stuff. One of the extra credits is a technical exercise that I wrote myself. It's right hand does the 5-finger scales while your left hand plays single roots of the 1 and 5, 7 chords. There's also an extra credit of writing a self-critique of your midterm performance. And I thought I had changed that to not extra credit, that you had to do it, but it's extra credit. And so there's also an extra credit of keeping track of your practicing of scales. And you can get up to 30 points, extra points for that. So that'd be a really great one if you can practice those extra credit scales, and it would really improve your ability to play piano if you do that as well. And it's kind of an honor system. You have to show me that you have kept track of your practice of the scales with the sheet that I have, a file where you keep track of your practicing of the scales. And then you have to prove it a little bit with me too. And so you can get up to 30 points. And so that's that. So the technical the requirements are, I don't think you can see that in the video, but the technical requirements are what you need to be playing. And so...
Here are some videos of technical requirements are what you need to be playing. I found.
Oh, shut up, Siri. I accidentally hit the Siri button when I did that. She's not going away. Okay, so now we have the addendum. So extra information about the class concerns, accommodations, financial aid, important dates, these kinds of things. I'm not going to go over that, but you can read that on your own. Student responsibilities, student academic conduct, words about plagiarism, okay? Official addendum there's an addendum that's tied to this class, Music 312, and there's a typo there. It should say spring 2022 there, so it should be 22 and it says 2021. And that talks about the addendum that's tied to this class, okay? Because this is not the only section of Piano 2. Okay, so that's that. And then also I wanted to show you a little bit, going back to the grade sheet. And the grade sheet, if I can find it here, it's right here. Looks like this. And so you can see that it has the technical requirements at the top, and then it breaks the repertoire down into commercial repertoire and then more advanced commercial repertoire. And then you have classical repertoire and more classical repertoire. And on this sheet, it shows the level of difficulty as I wrote it in by hand. On the syllabus, it's printed. That matters a whole lot. Okay, so that's the whole class in the framework of how I teach it and what your requirements are. It's a little unorthodox in terms of maybe other classes. You're left a lot more on your own. You can progress at your own rate and keep track of your own progress and gauge it according to how fast you want to advance. I've had students get as many as, I don't know, 800 or 900 points, and you only need 440 for an A. Okay, so most importantly is get these technical requirements done, and then you can also be working on commercial repertoire. You should always be working on one piece or so at a time. The modules now, getting back to Canvas, and not to leave you too much in the dark as clueless as to what you're supposed to do. I do give assignments in the modules of what you should be working on. I present the repertoire piece by piece and little by little, and you should try to keep up with the module rate in that respect, okay? So when I don't have access to my Canvas, and I feel a little in the dark because it's been 6 months since I taught it, and so you forget these things, but I can't even look at it online until I get my email. So tomorrow I'll have that. And maybe I'll make another video to go over it a little bit more with the Canvas application and talk about it in that respect. Dr. Gingaro is the online class teaching coordinator. She's been helping me with, she has access to it, so she's been putting things on there, like the welcome video and so on. She's going to put this video on when I send it to her. Okay? I really hope you have a great semester, and I hope you have great fun playing the piano or keyboard, most likely, in this semester. Remember, you have to have a keyboard in this class and a camera to take the videos of yourself, and it should be submitted through the Go React application that's tied to the Canvas application. Okay? Have a great day. We'll see you later.